should be the possibility. The government should have that possibility, because that would make it possible for this. So I would suggest, I mean, I am for putting on rooftop on factories, but this should all be grid connected, so that, you know, it should flow both ways, so that it doesn't remain idle on Saturday, Sunday, holidays, whenever you are not functioning. It should still be generating electricity. And we need to balance the system. You know, the whole system has to be balanced with renewables, coal, hydel, as the minister mentioned this morning, pump storage, and even importing hydroelectricity from our neighbors, Bhutan and Nepal. So I think we need to think in these terms.
Yes, Uday.
Thank you. Uday Mehta from CUTS. Dr. Parikh, I had one question. You gave a very interesting narrative about Bajaj and what really happened with them, and you emphasized on the need for industry to anticipate changes. Now, one of the things which influences industry is also policies. Policy. You know, industry works in the policy arena. So keeping that context in mind, what would be your opinion about how much is policymakers and policymaking in India, do they really anticipate changes? And how dynamic is our policy making to keep changes, you know, keep with the pace of the change of the industries? Thank you.
I completely agree that policies are equally important as business anticipation and so on. I think in a sense the 175 gigawatt target is a policy that drives some of the activities in the industry. But government policies also have to anticipate what is likely to happen and change. And by and large, I think should provide a completely open and transparent field, so that people can go into directions that the government has not anticipated. They should not be constrained. So have as little a constraint on public policies as possible. And I think once you have that kind of relatively free and transparent policy framework, then the role of government policy on business action should be reduced, or and so on. Right? Certainly on innovation should be reduced.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Sir, post Fukushima, Japan, West Germany and the Europeans who have established nuclear power plants have a plan to phase them out slowly and go back to a zero nuclear power regime. While I've been hearing since the morning, nuclear power for us does constitute one component of a renewable energy program. So how would you like to comment upon that? That those who are far more advanced than us technologically are withdrawing from that, and we are sort of not withdrawing but progressing in that direction because of nuclear. In fact, our previous Prime Minister fought tooth and nail for the civil nuclear program.
Right.
What do you think of that
Dr.
policy?
Our present Prime Minister also tried to get into the nuclear suppliers group, right? So I think it is true that while the rest of the world, or at least many countries in the world, are reducing their nuclear power, India is pushing for nuclear power. And I think the main reason for India is that we recognize that we have coal is the only major source of energy that we have. Even that, the use of it is going to be restricted. International companies or firms or institutions are no longer financing coal-based power plants, so that we will need some kind of another fund. So nuclear would be one thing, but we have to also recognize that our uranium reserves are also so limited that if we have to rely only on our own uranium, we can set up no more than 10,000 megawatt of nuclear power of the first generation type. I think so. Nuclear cannot be considered as a renewable power, but it certainly can be considered as a non-carbon emitting non-GHG emitting power. And from that point of view, there is some attraction for nuclear power. My personal feeling is that apart from whether we should go for nuclear or not, we can be quite comfortable because the nuclear power in India is very unlikely to grow at the rate and the cost at which we are able to set up nuclear power plants. I mean, every year you ask, when is the fast breeder reactor coming to steam? Bas this year. Bas this year. Jab pucho tab tayyari.
Right. Thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of the valedictory session. May I, Mr. Arun Mukherjee, to please present a memento as a token of appreciation to Dr. Parikh. Thank you so much. Anything else you would like to mention? We really plan in advance. Orunda just tells me 25th August 2017 will be our next conclave, and we start preparations right from now. Thank you very much, all of you, for your encouragement, help. Really appreciated. Thank you and good evening.